Welcome, welcome. I am so excited because I am here with Matt Quinones, who is a BA specializing in travel coordination and event management, who was also in my Foundations to Flow program, which is how we got to this title. So welcome, Matt. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm good. Well, thank you for asking. Everything is good. So let's dive in and talk about what you do. So, who are you and what do you do?
Okay. So I have a few different lanes that I operate in. I'm a VA, but I specialize and my background is mostly in event planning. So I worked for years with the Walt Disney Corporation doing events for their Broadway properties, whether that was sales events or cast, special events for cast or creative team. And there I also did a lot of travel organization. So it was like sort of, okay, you're planning an event and it's in LA. Now go figure it out. So I not living in LA, I had to learn quite a bit. So yes, I'm based in New York City, and I event planning is my passion, but I also do VA work from any sort of admin support that might be needed. I have over 15 years of experience working in admin roles, most of that, like I said, at the Walt Disney Company. And so in May of this year, I had the opportunity to serve as a retreat coordinator, which is very much an event planning sort of in action role. And it became retreat coordinator and concierge. So I was organizing all of the events and keeping the schedule going, but also being sort of the mother hen, if you will. You know, I ran out of toothpaste. What's the best store to go buy it at? Or I need to go to an ATM. Where's the closest one around? And handling things like that. But it was really the overall management of the retreat itself that I enjoyed. And so that led to some opportunities where I've worked with some other retreat leaders, being the logistics, the planning backbone, negotiating with venues and with accommodation providers. And so that's the focus of my business. But then on the side, and I'll talk more about this at the end, but I also have a little bit of my husband has worked in Times Square advertising for the past 20 years. And so recently, some of the signs have begun sort of democratizing. So I facilitate purchasing ads in Times Square to feature your brand. And it works out really well with small entrepreneurs because if you have a book or a new product that you're launching or something like that, I can help facilitate getting you a sign in Times Square for 24 hours to feature your brand, and then also, have a fun day featuring you in front of your sign in Times Square. So it's a broad spectrum of stuff that I work on. But like you said, my focus is on event planning and travel management.
Yeah, and I love that. And okay, so before we get into this, is working at Disney as much fun as it sounds like, or is it just like any other job? Are you allowed to
Um,
spill any tea on that?
I feel like I'm allowed to spill some tea. It is a lot of fun, I will be honest.
Mm.
Especially with working the Broadway division of Disney is a division of the movie studio. So it was really interesting because the whole business was structured like a movie studio, but it was producing live Broadway theater. So I had to learn a lot about the way billing and travel management and spending works once something's been greenlit and things like that. But, it also has its bureaucracy, like
Yeah.
anything that big. We used to sort of joke that, the US has embassies around the world, and so does Disney.
No, but this is
Because
true. This
it is
is,
true.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and it's funny because they've really systematized it. So like in the UK, there's one building that holds Disney parks, Disney theatrical, Disney movie studio, uh, uh, Disney streaming, every aspect of the Walt Disney Company lives in one building in each country generally, except for America
Oh, wow.
where it's spaced out a little bit. And that's not 100% true for each, but it always felt like when I was sending people to visit Disney UK, it was like, okay, but once you get into Disney, it's like being in America again, once you get into the Disney building. So,
So interesting.
so yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, but there are some, some bureaucratic issues to deal with and a lot of, politics within the world of
Right.
Disney, but you learn that as you go.
Okay, so you had this really cool career doing all this cool stuff. What was it that made you say, "Oh, like let me go out on my own and create my own business"? Where did that jump come from?
Okay. Well, I'm going to be really honest with you because basically what happened was I had only worked in theater my entire life. And so prior to Disney, I worked for Lincoln Center and some other producers and things like that. And during the pandemic, theater was shut down.
Yeah, it's
And
a hard time.
Disney was one of the producers that did a really good job of making the best efforts to do right by their employees. And so they kept me on for almost a year into the pandemic I was furloughed, but I was kept on as an employee with health insurance and things like that. But I really had a lot of time to reflect and to reconsider how much time I was putting into Disney and what I was getting out of that. And I realized I was really pouring myself into Disney. And it's not, this isn't a criticism of Disney, but it's not entirely rational to expect when you pour yourself into a corporate entity that has a board of directors that it's going to pour itself back into you and fulfill you in
Right.
that same way because
Right.
really you're there to serve their board of directors. And so that made me really think of who I was serving. And so during the pandemic, I think all of us had to get creative about what we were going to do next. And that's when I really focused on the event planning. And I said, I have this event planning experience. And so let me get out there and see what opportunities are available. And I got an event planning job at a high-end, it's sort of like the online version of Whole Foods in New York. It's called Fresh Direct. And they were launching a bunch of marketing events. So it was PR, marketing events, press conferences, events in the Hamptons, really without a brick and mortar presence. They were trying to get their marketing presence out there in a way that was more of a pop up presence. So I worked for them for a while. But I continued to think, like I said, about who am I serving, And so, while I was there, I started to look at the idea of working for small business owners, people that were building their own accomplishments. And, the same way that I supported maybe the director of Frozen to make sure that the administrative details were not keeping him back from being a creative genius on the stage. I felt like, you know what, I could apply that to people that have small businesses and are really good at either hosting retreats or really good at teaching the methods that are the core behind their retreats, because a lot of people's retreats are like, come on my retreat, learn how to create a membership program for your service-based business and increase revenue by this amount and have fun in a beautiful location while doing it. And so I have a dear friend, Erin B. Haig, who is sort of a retreat expert, if you will. She runs luxury and business retreats. And that really serves as a business that teaches people that maybe have a core mission, like maybe someone that runs a Pilates business, but wants to offer a deeper experience for their core members at their Pilates studio. And so they want to do a retreat up in upstate New York or um, it could be in France or wherever, and focus on Pilates as the core of their retreat, but they're not experts at negotiating with hotels or negotiating with venues or selecting something that will keep their brand elevated at the level that their brand should be presented, because a lot of people know the vibe they want to give off with their brand from a retreat perspective, but they may not know how to produce the event in a way that that increase or that supports the vibe they're trying to put out there. And so
Yeah.
what I like to do is take what it is that the person does, what it is that they focus on, what it is that makes them special and their business special, and bring in all of the logistical elements to make sure they're presented in the way they want to be presented.
Yeah, because, a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to do this," but don't realize what it takes in the background. And you really need to have it all come together really smoothly in order to be at that elevated level and have your clients be like, "Oh, this was amazing," and not real, like without knowing even what all the things were happening in the background to make that amazing. And I think I want to go back to something that you said that probably a lot of people resonate with who are listening, which is that, yeah, I worked in corporate and it's great, but what am I getting out of it? And so I love that you took that and you have so much amazing experience and took that to really be able to craft something so beautiful and so you and that serves you as well. And you have done such a great job of putting it all together and really like creating this offer that, like, obviously I know I know the details and everybody does, but like creating this offer that is like really cool, and the fact that like you get to tap into your like Disney experience and get to like say all this stuff like who is not going to hire you to do this, So I think that's like I don't know, it's just really, really cool. So I want to next ask you more about okay, so you're like, okay, I have this idea, I want to do this thing, and you're newer at it, right? You're in your first year of doing this. And so
Yes.
when we had connected, you had started your VA business and all of these ideas were not necessarily fully formed. So can you take me kind of like on this journey and then, so for those who don't know, you were in my first cohort of Foundations to Flow, which is an 8-week core offer design sprint. And we really, really like focused on this core offer design, and I really, really love doing it. So thank you for sharing your experience. So I would love to kind of like, if you can sort of like walk through that and where you were maybe before, where you were going into it, and then we can get into like what happened after you must have left, but like at the end of it, So like
Yep.
kind of like putting it all together.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, where I was before we first spoke, which is where a lot turned around for me, is that I had ideas of what I wanted to do. And my general thought was, if I get people in a room and or in a Zoom or whatever we do these days and explain to them what I can offer, I felt confident that I could, I could make a connection with them, that they would understand what I'm offering and why it's of value to their business, and why investing in their business or investing in me was investing in their business. And but I didn't know at all how to get from, hey, I know how to talk about myself, to I'm signing a client. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really did. The first clients that I got were word of mouth that I did have those conversations with. And I was sort of developing those clients and those beginning of those relationships when we first spoke. And it wasn't when we spoke, you honestly made me consider for the first time the idea of a core offer.
So
It
so let me ask you, yeah, because and this is typical, right? Because a lot of people start out and like I think this is a good point too, because a lot of people start out doing all of the things, which is fine, but you don't have to do that. Right. And so
right.
so it's interesting that you said like, oh, like this is kind of interesting. And so I'm curious maybe like what your feelings were about it.
My feelings were that the idea of reconceptualizing the way I look at my business from the perspective of having a core offer gave me a lot of structure to work around, and then gave me the ability, and and honestly, through work with you and getting feedback through the process, I realized, oh, by giving the structure of, hey, I'm offering this is what the value I'm bringing to the table, it allowed me to find better ways to express what it is that I could provide, because it was me. So the idea of getting someone into a Zoom and talking about why you're fabulous is lovely, but it's also all over the board. It's not an organized process. The idea of being able to succinctly explain what it is you can offer for a core offer, and basically hey, this is a first step you can take with me. If you want to learn about what I can do for you, there's this price point. It's not huge, but it's fair to me. And um and we can use the structure that I've created in that offer to discuss your business and figure out what it is that you want to do, what it is that you don't feel like you're the expert at, and what I can bring to the table to fill those gaps. So really, for me, the introduction to you and the foundations to flow was a practice in me reconceptualizing what my business could be. And I hadn't thought about it in those terms. And so it wasn't, I think if you had asked me after our first meeting, I would have said, oh, I get what she's saying. But going through the process of Foundations to Flow taught me to really sort of pull some strings that I hadn't thought I need to pull on, to get more concise language around what I can offer, to get more, what problem am I solving in my offer? Make that message more clear. And so for me, it was, I was at such an early stage, and I don't mean to say that that I've graduated by any means
You've graduated.
I graduated from Foundations to Flow, but I just mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but I will say that
an expert. Yes.
I'm not supposed to say that probably. But here's the thing. I think that actually, you know what? I'm glad I said that, because I think there's a lot of people that I work with and people that I know in the world of entrepreneurship that have historically thought being humble is is a virtue. And to an extent it is, but belittling myself and saying I'm not an expert when there is plenty of things that I can advise people on from the perspective of my expert opinion is more of an example of me discounting myself. And I think that's something everyone can relate to. So that's the only reason I tag back to that. But
no, but this is true, right? I think it is a good point that, we say that, I'm not an expert because we say these things, and because we're also kind of taught to be like this in a way, and actually, but I love that you're like, well, no, wait, actually there are things I'm an expert in. Like what you do, I have no idea how to do that, right? Like if I were to run a retreat, I have to figure out all the stuff on my own. And you're like, oh yeah, no, obviously it's this, and this. And it comes so easy for you, because you're actually an expert in that. You have tons of experience, which is amazing. So you are an expert.
Thank you.
So awesome. And I love that. It was so cool. And I think that it's a good point, right? That you're like, oh, and I think I already said this, but it doesn't matter what stage of business you're in, you can have this core offer. And when you have a core offer, it helps so much because you're not all over the place, and it helps so much on discovery calls or when you talk about yourself or when you market. I know it wasn't too long ago that, we kind of completed and you graduated the Foundations to Flow. I'm curious if you've been able to put it into action yet, if you've had that opportunity to either talk to somebody and explain what you do or anything like that.
I haven't put it into action yet in terms of making my core offer like something you can click on and purchase directly on my website. And that's my goal. But it has improved my ability to talk about what I do. It's also improved, back to the comment on being an expert, it's improved my confidence because I read through and said, wow, there is a lot that I'm offering. And maybe I knew that on some level, but it wasn't until I went through the exercises and really diagrammed things out and discussed them with both you and the group and bounced things off through the process that I was like, wow, I am bringing a lot to the table. And I think that might have been one of the biggest lessons I needed to learn through this process, because like you said, you just mentioned that I think Foundations to Flow can be a good exercise, almost no matter where you are in your journey. But as you know, I had the concern that I was too early in my journey to do this, that I wasn't ready. And I think what you sort of pulled out of me through that process was me realizing, oh, I have that inside of me. I need to articulate it and organize it so I believe it. but I was ready. But I also think, there were other people in our course, and some of them had more experience in their business. And like I think one of the big benefits of Foundations to Flow is it forces you to slow down and look at your business. And it's very easy to resist the back of your mind telling you need to slow down and focus on your business sometimes. And it's like what you said to me through the process, you're your first client, and doing something like Foundations to Flow sort of gave me the structure as someone who's not good at focusing on myself and what I need to do to move forward. It gave me the structure to do that, So I think, it's like a lot of different things that we learn from. It's a process, and I think I could see someone with more experience going through it and being like, okay, here's my offer. I totally know what you're talking about. Let me craft this, and here's the language, and because they've been doing it for years, but that maybe they just didn't know how to have a core offer, and they just need the logistics of that. I could see that, but for me, the experience was much more of a business growth experience and a personal growth experience.
So that's, sorry, finish.
No. So I just say that to say that you might be able to get something out of the process that you weren't expecting when you made that decision of like, oh, okay, should I invest in myself and do this? You may get something beyond the tangible things that you can print out on a piece of paper when you're done.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. It's a couple of points that are so interesting is that for me, and I don't know if you feel this way, is especially before, when I was earlier on in my business and I've had to purposely stop myself from doing this, I would just go, 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 go. And I didn't take the time to be intentional about what is it that I want? And what is it that I'm, I just, okay, I'll do that. And I really just let my business lead me, and I let my business make my business decisions, because I was like, no, I need to have money and have clients and this and that. And that's how I ended up creating a random agency. And that that's how I did all these random things that were not necessarily aligned with me, that were learning experiences. And from that, I realized how important it was to slow down, slow down and take a minute, because being intentional and making these decisions and having this foundation and knowing this is my dream life vision, right? This is what I want my life to look like. This is what I'm amazing at. This is what I want to be doing. It then makes every decision after that so much easier, right? And so that was a turning point for me. And I was like, no, other people need to do this, because I know that people are not doing this because I didn't do it. And so that's where that came from. And the other point that you made about the getting something out that you might not realize you were getting out of it. I will debunk something you said that maybe somebody who's been doing their business for a long time will just go through it quickly and not, they'll not have these realizations. From my experience, nope, not at all. It doesn't matter how long you've been in business. Like I have that piece you said about having more confidence. I hear that all the time, and people who have been in business for 5 years, already. So it's just, I think whenever you're in a program or whenever you're working on yourself or doing something, like as long as you're putting the work into it, you're going to get something amazing out of it. And I think it is that inner work piece that is almost more important than some of these other things, right?
Yes.
Because you could have this amazing core offer, this framework, but if you don't have the confidence or the mindset, if that's really, really lacking, then you're not going to move forward. You're not going to take the
Yes.
steps to actually market it or like tell people about it and things like that. So all those pieces are really important. So I appreciate you kind of sharing all of that.
Yeah. And I
So
think if you
yeah.
have that if you know somewhere in the back of your mind, I'm not being intentional about how much I focus on my core business, working with you is a really good way of structuring, sort of, for lack of a better way to put it, forcing yourself to put in that time to work on your business. And I think that's something that I needed to invest in and have the structure around and have the accountability around, or I wouldn't have. Maybe I was too green to get there, but either way, I needed that.
Yeah, no, and that's amazing. So on that note, I'm curious now. So it's been maybe about like a little over a month or so that since this has been wrapped up, and I know like, obviously it takes time to implement and put these things into place. So I'm curious what your next goals are in your business and what your vision is, what you see for yourself and what you're looking forward to.
Well, my next goals are basically my next immediate goal is to get my core offer as a listed offering on my website so that it's something that people can purchase right there. They'll get information from me and we can go forward with the process. That's, my next action item. From the perspective of where do I see my business going, I am doing my best to network with and meet as many retreat professionals as possible, and both learn from them and and quite honestly market to them. But that is a nurturing process. You really have to put in the time and create those relationships, and most of my clients are through word of mouth, so that's why I'm sort of focusing on that. But yeah, right now I'm mostly focused on trying to grow my business from the perspective of really making a name for myself amongst the networking world of retreat professionals.
I love that. I think that's a beautiful focus for you. And so I'm going to plug my my other 8 week sprint. That's a marketing sprint, and
Yes.
so it's actually something that after this will come out after it launches this round. But so Foundations of Flow I do twice a year, and then the marketing I'll do twice a year as well. And one of my key things that I teach is just this relational marketing, because when you're a service provider, especially, you don't need an audience of 10,000 people, right? You need a handful of really amazing clients, and they're going to refer you. They're going to do all the work for you. You're going to see it's going to just take off exponentially. So if you have the system, you know how to talk about what you do, and you have this marketing system, then it's easy from that point, right? Because like you have your offer and your marketing, and like life is so easy. You don't have to like figure out what you're doing. So love that. And, you're already plugged into that world. So love that as well. My dog is playing with toys. So if you can hear the background noise, I took a risk. And it's always when I talk to you for some reason that she does weird things. And so I took a risk by having this puppy in this podcast interview. She's doing pretty well. But any background noise, she's very excited about the retreat world as well. So last question, is there anything else that we forgot that you're like, oh, I want to share this before we get into the last thing of how we can stay in touch with you?
I just wanted to share that, I think, like we were just talking about networking, I met you through a friend of mine who works in the online business management world and also works in the retreat world. And, I couldn't have known in May that it would lead to such growth for me by meeting you. And so I think making those connections and nurturing relationships is much more important than I even realized 6 months ago.
Oh, I love that. And like my heart's so happy. I appreciate it. I didn't pay him to say any of these things. And also, I'm so proud. Like this man here was like out there, like hustling, like getting clients, like throughout the 8 weeks we were together. Like, oh no, I have a couple more clients now. Like you are like on it. So if anybody get to like, I'm like so excited for you. I'm so proud of what you've done to this point. I'm so excited for where you're going. So it's
Thank
really,
you.
really cool to witness that.
Thank
So
you.
how can people stay in touch with you and anything else you would like to share? The floor is yours now.
Okay. So, well, the first thing I want to share is that if you go so my business is called Admin Solutions. If you go to admin-solutions.co, so that's .co, no M, you can sign up for my mailing list. And if you sign up for my mailing list, you will be entered to win a free 24-hour ad in Times Square. So,
Okay.
so
That's a
that
crazy
basically,
prize.
it's a
Yeah.
crazy prize, but basically, if you're looking for an event manager, you're looking for a retreat organizer, you're looking for some VA services, sign up at my website, and you could, in the process of, maybe we'll have a Zoom meeting to chat about what you do and if there's any opportunity for me to help you. But you also might be able to feature your brand in Times Square for free. So I figured, since I have that connection, it's a nice way to both facilitate meeting new people and also offering something that's of real value to someone's brand.
Yeah, 1,000%. And we do have Instagram, yes,
We
as
do
well.
have
If somebody wants to
Instagram.
message you.
It's Admin Solutions NYC, or at Admin Solutions NYC. And should I provide my personal?
Whatever you want. If
Sure.
you
Sure. It's
all the
it's
things.
it's Matt EQ7 at Matt EQ7. So that, anyways, you'll get updates on some of the events I'm working on. You can reach out to me, and if you just want to get in touch with me and you just have a direct question, just go to admin-solutions.co, and you can send me an email from there.
Awesome. And then because we have a lot of service providers listening, that it'd be a good partnership too, right? So if they have clients that do events, like it would be amazing to also network with fellow service providers.
Exactly.
So keep that in mind as well. All right. Thank you so much.
Totally.
And all these things will be linked, obviously. And so you can just click on everything and hang out with Matt some more. Thank you so much, Matt, for being here. It's always nice to see your face and catch up. And then I will see you guys on the next episode.